Good evening, everyone. We are gathered tonight for the April 2023 meeting of the LGBTQIA Plus Commission. And we're going to open with our roll call. Our secretary, Billy, will you please take roll?
Yes. Kathy Boyle is not here, but she's notified us. Denise DeSimone is here. Billy Heilman is here. Sue Kerr is here. Bruce Kraus is here. Maria Montano is here. Lenny Orbovich has notified us of that he will either be late or not able to attend. Richard is here. I have not seen Shantae Porter.
She just said she can't be here tonight.
Okay,
So she
has notified us, and we're still waiting for Christopher Robinson also. Marcus Robinson is here. Sarah Rosso, we're still waiting for her, as well as with Derek Tynes, who's not here, and Guillermo Velasquez is here, and our liaison Morgan Overton is here.
Great. So we are, excuse me, at quorum, which given our current composition requires 6 eligible board commissioners to be in attendance. So we're right there. Please don't leave. So I'm in all seriousness. We want to get through the agenda. So first up is reading and approval of the minutes. Billy distributed those minutes. Do we have a motion to accept and approve the minutes from March 2023?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's done. Let's move on. Reports of officers and standing committee. We're going to start with public comments. Marcus, that's your piece. Do you want to?
Yeah, also sorry, there's a lot. Someone's cutting the grass near me. So just in terms of the public comment, I can share my screen to show where it'll be and then just give a little bit of background about it. So there'll be a couple different ways to reach the page, but I'll show the way through the city page, our webpage on the city's website, just to show how most people might find it that we could link to. But we also have a URL, and Denise, I'll share that with you too, that we can just post directly to. Can you see the city of Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if you go to the boards, authorities, and commissions, and hopefully this long way can just show everyone who's watches where it is, our web pages in general, but under that boards, authorities, and commissions, we have the LGBTQIA commission. And then under commission meetings is where you'll be able to get to the form. We scroll down here. So this also has all our meeting minutes from throughout since we actually started meeting and keeping track of the meeting minutes. So just as an FYI as well for people, you can view those meeting minutes here. So now that we approved the February ones or March ones, we can get those uploaded as well. So just a note on that. So then for our public comment specifically, we have this public comment for LGBTQIA plus commission, and we can move this as well. Just to note, this was just kind of where we had originally thought to put it. Let me open up of course, I have the closed version. The screen so you can see the public version. share my screen. Disappeared. Okay, here's the. Let me know if you can see that form now.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this just has here the form that people will be able to fill out. And so it'll mention that it's live streamed and how to register, filling out that form. So we're planning to open it on the first Wednesday of the month, and it'll close right before the commission meeting. So we'll have time to assemble the written statements and share them with the commissioners before the meeting. And so there's a couple questions here. Does this relate to this month's commission agenda? And then they can describe what agenda item they want to comment on, and then add their comment as well. And then we were also, and this is something we can talk through as a group as well, but planning to collect a few demographic information about the people if they're willing to provide. So there's some additional questions at the end about that. And I can share the form with everyone, but just in terms of the mechanics, that's the biggest pieces for how we'll collect it. And so it'll open at the beginning. We can set a timer on it to open at the first Wednesday of the month and then close right before, and then do that for each month's commission meeting.
Now, for clarification, the plan is to send these around, to note them, to read them when relevant. We're not going to read every single comment at every meeting, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So yeah, we would include the statements in the meeting. I think we had discussed the meeting minutes for that month's meeting, and then, but yeah, give opportunity to summarize it and then respond to any of the comments that have been submitted.
Okay.
So Marcus, would these all be emailed to us, or is there a like a Dropbox of some sort for us to access it?
Yeah, so we had a couple options. The way it's currently configured is that you would put the comment in the form. We could, that would be the most streamlined way, but we can include instructions that if people want to email us the statements, we could. It would just be another, we just need to make sure someone's monitoring the emails to collect and put it all together.
Richard, were you talking more about how they'll go around to the commissioners?
That plus how there would be kept in public, so that it could be accessed. Could the public access these comments? Will
So
these
they
all
would be, yeah, so they would be in the minutes. I guess the other, to answer your first question, that someone would on the commission be responsible for just combining all those written statements that we receive and sending to the commissioners before the meeting. And depending on, I know, everyone has other things they're also working on, so we can fine tune the period that it's open as well. So if we need to maybe close it on Tuesday to give everyone time to read and combine together, that's a thing we could talk about as well.
Marcus, thank you so much. It seems like a simple thing, but it's taken a lot of work on your part to get this up and running. And I really appreciate that. It's a big step forward for us in terms of connecting with the community.
Yeah. And so I think the other thing is I'll share this form with everyone as well. So if there's things, obviously this process will probably evolve as we start to use it a bit more. I think, and ultimately at some point the question will come up about live public comment and things like that. So I think there'll just be things we'll talk through as well. But this form, at least we can start with and trying to model off how the city and the other entities in Pittsburgh do it.
Okay, so what's our plan to launch? Well, it is launched. It's on the page.
Yeah,
right
so right now it's closed. So what we can do is we could plan for, so if we open it the first Wednesday of the month for May, then we'll open it on May 3rd. And I just chose that date, I think, just to try to keep it some kind of structure for a certain amount of time, but we could open it May 1st, and then Denise, we could coordinate and then put it on social media and things like that to share. But it could technically be opened at any point.
Would Would it be more efficient to maybe pick dates, like May 1st through the 1st through the 15th of every month? Because that'll never hit up against our scheduled meeting.
The meeting
is
could be on the 15th. I mean, we sometimes have meetings on the 15th when
Hmm.
the first is on a Thursday, then the third Thursday is the 15th.
So
I guess-
maybe
Oh, go ahead, Sue.
first through the 12th or something like that would be easier to remember than trying to keep track of first, second, third.
I think that's a great idea. Even if the cutoff date was if it needed to be the 13th or the 14th, my envisioning of this would be that, the comments are, filled in by people who do the form between the 1st and I'll say the 14th right now, maybe by noon on the 14th, then we're owed, we have a staff person. I did think that the comments should be processed by a staff person, not a commissioner. And then the set of them could be distributed to the commissioners, and then they would be in a form that were posted on the website. I'm not sure they're part of the minutes of a meeting, but they can be the public comment associated with the meeting, and they should be accessible on the website. I also think that the promotion of the form, if there's a link, so that if somebody clicked on the link, they would go right to the form rather than having to navigate from, boards and commissions to our commission to meetings to the form. I mean, that's kind of a difficult path until you learn it. But maybe there could be, when we promote it, a link that just goes right to the form.
We can create a
we
short
can-
link.
Yeah, we could do that for sure. The only other thing I was going to add was if we wanted people in terms of public comments to also respond to like the actual agenda that we'll be discussing at that month's meeting, we might just have to adjust like the timeline by which we start to prepare our agenda. So that's just one thing to think about.
Yeah, well, so our agenda is prepared by the first Thursday. I think that maybe there could be a notice that the agenda will be available on the first Friday of the month. That when somebody clicks on the form and goes there, that notice is there. Maybe there's a page that it says that notice, and there's also a link then to click for the agenda. Maybe we post the agenda right away, and then there's a way to view the agenda if it's by the first Friday that they're arriving or after, and then they can comment on that. But we are, obligated in advance of the meeting. I'm not sure exactly what the rule is. I'd have to look it up, to have the agenda available to the public and prior to our meetings. But certainly 2 weeks is well in advance.
Okay, well, why don't we consider this a soft launch? Let's get it up. Let's start promoting it. Stick maybe with our 1st to the 15th, just to see what happens. And I agree with a lot of what you said, but it's all there's a lot of little complicated things to work out. Will people click through and look at the agenda? So maybe we could start simple and not necessarily be so strict about the agenda right off the bat, to see what kind of comments we get.
Well, I think that if whatever the hyperlink is to the form, if when you click on that, you land on a page that has click here for the agenda, and And also click here for the form. If somebody wanted to view the agenda before the form, it'd be rather easy. And then if the agenda just wasn't posted yet, it would just say agenda available, not yet available, and then they would have to come back.
I agree with you. My concern right now is with Marcus and Morgan both leaving, that we're going to be really short-handed to get those things done, and Pride coming. So maybe we could.
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about that for this next month or even the next several months.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go with what we have, and we can see how it rolls out and revisit and refine.
Right.
Does that seem like a plan for everyone? We don't really have to vote on this because we've already agreed to do this.
Yeah.
Any other? Go ahead, Bruce.
I apologize. Keep getting called away for phone calls. Forgive me.
As long as you're not asleep. Any other comments on this? Ready to move on? Thank you, Marcus. All right, next up is in-person meetings, and we've been notified that due to resource constraints, we are not going to be able to meet in person for the time being, because we won't be able to record and broadcast our meetings. And we don't really know a lot about the reasons behind that beyond the lack of resources. So the executive committee is meeting with the director of innovation and P, whatever the P stands for. And we will be exploring in more detail and be able to provide more of a report to all of you at our next month's meeting about what that looks like. But we discussed it in detail at our executive committee meeting and just decided that it would be simpler to stick with online for now. And while we all want to meet in person, we need to navigate this most recent road bump before we can make that happen. I don't think we have to make the argument to anyone here why we should meet in person. And we're obviously not able to discuss where until we get this resolved. So this is just more an update. Yes.
Can I join in? I'm sorry. I just, as soon as we had agreed to do our very best to meet in person, it dawned on me, like, I bet that's going to be a problem because we won't be able to record and broadcast. So if you need assistance in some way through, our the governmental office, I'm happy to help in some way. But
Okay.
yeah, I think David, if he's still on, could probably confirm that it's going to be a difficult setup that we'll have to bring our cable bureau to the live meeting to record it, to be able to broadcast it.
Right. That's, it's not that I want to necessarily have a real in-depth discussion about this because we have a lot of ground to cover. We're going to have a meeting to get real specifics, but right now it's not really something to discuss because it's a fact. We can't do it right now.
Yeah.
And we'd all like to do it. We can't. So we just have to move forward and meet online until that's resolved. And we have a plan to resolve it. I don't want to cut anyone off. I'm just conscious of time here because we got started late.
Okay.
I'll just jump
the meeting isn't, we are in process of setting that meeting up. So I don't think it'll be a problem.
and just to sort of give, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, just sort of give a line of insight there, a little bit there in terms of resources, just to sort of inform as you go into that meeting, is this current setup we do right now requires a staff of one to set up the Zoom meeting, connect it, run it, make sure it's broadcasting out. Whereas if we go in person, it requires a camera crew, it requires sound and mult box. It requires basically a crew of 2 to 3 folks to do it. So it's a matter of resource allocation, not just for this commission, but all of the commissions of the city of Pittsburgh on what that looks like around being able to broadcast the meetings live out into the world from that basic perspective there. So it is a bit of a tougher challenge to face, but one that we're obviously open to hearing more from folks on.
Thank you, Maria. So yes, this is about resources, and we will pursue, take all, we'll pursue more information but for now, just plan to meet online, and we will let you know when that changes. Okay. Pirates report. Well, I'm pleased to report that the pirate labor impasse has been resolved. So that is good, because we had been discussing at the executive committee level about would we be able to work with the pirates while there was a labor impasse. And that was going to be what we talked about in this particular agenda item, and it's not something we have to consider at this point, although perhaps in the future Sarah had mentioned that we should talk about, when we're going to get involved in labor issues and when we're not. But in terms of the pirates, what was planning to happen is we have a meeting next week, and I sent around the link to everyone who would like to attend. It looks like they're going to want to discuss their pride planning with us, and we don't have an agenda beyond that. My understanding is that there has not yet been a community meeting with community groups around pride, but we'll hopefully find that out next week. And the pirates will also be at the mayor's trans visibility event next week, which is at the same time as our pirates meeting. So we're going to have to divide and conquer for that.
Is it the same time?
There's a little overlap. No,
Because
what's
one
that
starts
word?
at 4, I thought it was 4 o'clock for the pirate meeting and 6 o'clock for the mayor's.
Okay. Yes. I'm thinking about the time I need to be there to set up. So that's a little bit different. So they're close together, but they're not exactly the overlap. So anyone has questions or things you want to bring up at the pirates meeting and that you can't be there, please email us and we'll make sure that they're covered. Any questions on that? Okay, let's move on to the mayor's trans visibility event. Morgan, could you please update us on what's happening with this?
Sure. Hey, everyone. So my colleague Stephanie, I definitely want to give her credit for being behind the scenes of organizing this event, but we're plugging away here. The main ask right now is just to share out the flyer to your respective networks, because we definitely want as many people to show up and support as possible. But in terms of any key logistics or anything that this group needs to be aware of, I think it's just pretty straightforward. It's going to be a really uplifting event, highlighting organizations on the front lines, and just making sure that we have a social justice-y oriented spirit with this event to just drown out any of the hatred that's been in Pittsburgh recently.
Sarah and I have been to a couple of planning meetings. I think at this point there's 2 groups committed to table. And I appreciate that the mayor wants to do this. And I had said in our most recent planning meeting, that I thought one thing that could be important out of this or impactful would be to have the media there and to record what the mayor has to say and record the event, because that can reach tens of thousands of people through the media. And obviously that many people would never come in person. Do you have an update on that, Morgan? Are we gonna have media?
I think we're being cautious with the media part. That's still to be determined. I would defer to Maria's expertise on this part, but I think the last I spoke with Stephanie, that was just kind of the caution there. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You want media to be able to showcase how impactful this event could be, but then also you don't want the media to spin the narrative out of control. So, Maria, I don't know if you have any input on that, not to put you on the spot, but I don't know what the final answer was on that.
Yeah, so we're still thinking through this aspect of it. And one of the things that we found, and one of the things that we're trying to avoid, is if we're trying to cultivate a place where folks can feel safe to talk openly about their experience as a trans person in the city and the experience that they've had over the past several weeks with the events happening at campus, that oftentimes a TV camera and reporters in the room takes away from people's safety to feel like they can have an open dialogue with their mayor and with others of leadership in the city about that experience. So we're looking at some opportunities here to generate our own media through our own staff and provide footage sort of afterwards to press and do an after action release saying that this is something that the mayor and the city did to highlight the work, and then possibly looking to do, like a Facebook live stream of the mayor's remarks to the community as a way to sharing it out in real time so more people can see it through the official city social channels without the lens of a TV crew and reporter in the room.
That seems like a very good way to handle it. My concern is just that we didn't have a lot of time, and there's a lot. If we have a very modest turnout, how impactful will it be? And the commission, it just kind of came to us, and I don't know how vigorously everyone's been working to invite people. I know the people that I've asked if they'll be there it's just simply the short notice. It wasn't possible. So, I mean, that's kind of what happens with community organizing, but if we're going to have the clips, the video, the audio, whatever that is, we can circulate that. Otherwise, any other comments about this? I appreciate that the mayor's going to do. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that what you described, Maria, in terms of how to handle publicity around the event is, it sounds very wise and thoughtful to me to balance the need for a safe space, as well as to walk the tightrope of visibility and safety, which right now is a difficult one to walk. So I think the thoughts that you've expressed and that you and Morgan expressed were, I appreciate them.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Maria and Morgan, for that update. I'm going to push ahead. I hope we see as many of us that can be there next week. And I hope at the very least, please share the event on your own social media and share it a couple times. One time doesn't really reach a lot of people. So I think that that's something we can all contribute. All right, let's move on to our treasurer's report. That's Denise.
Yeah, as we talked last time, I think the methodology of going in and asking for expenditures that we want is really the way to go. So if there's anybody with any expenditures, if you could just email them to me directly, I'll see what I can do. I'll work with Morgan or whoever at the mayor's office to try to get those expenditures covered, either by services or some way. Also, if there's any input on a 2024 budget, I've got a framework started that I would like to fill in. It's not a very extensive budget, but if there's any things that you think will be needed in 2024, please send those along as well so that I can have them included in the budget. By the next meeting, I'll have the budget shared with everybody's input. I'd like to, ask within the next couple of weeks if there's any input on expenditures that you can foresee coming up. Just send them to me.
Around that thought, we had discussed at the executive committee level that it would be wise for us to be proactive this year, to form our budget, create our budget. And it's a request, obviously, we can't just set our budget, but we can submit it to the mayor for the planning process for 2024. So we've taken experiences the past 2 years and used that to say we're going to ask for what we need and then negotiate.
And I would also suggest that folks here look to engage with the city in its official budget process, which is where a lot of this work happens. So I think coming together as a community and participating in the public budget forums and the surveys and the tools that come out to say, hey, this is money that the community wants to do the work of this commission, then that would be a prime opportunity to do so. And that work is going to start coming up within the next month or so in terms of our public engagement around the next year's budget for the city.
Thank you, Maria. That's absolutely essential information for all of us to take advantage of all the opportunities we have to collect as much information. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Anything else, Denise?
I think that's it. And along with the expenditure request, just the time of when you would need something. So whether it's printing or design or whatever, I would need it by X date so that I could push as I need to.
Okay, well, we'll follow up with this with a reminder email, laying it out in a little more detail so that people understand specifically what Denise needs. Any questions on this? All right, moving on. Secretary's report, Billy?
Yeah, well, first I want, because it's not always easy to see when from these recordings or from the stream who's present, but Commissioners Sarah Rosso, the co-chair Sarah Rosso, and Commissioner Lenny Orbovich are part of the meeting. Just so you know, since we do roll call at the beginning, I wanted to verbally recognize them. The two things. One, I sent with the minutes and the agenda, also the calendar for the remaining, for all the meetings in 2023. So everyone has that in a document, and we'll, so refer to that, put it on your own calendar. You get an invite. Sometimes I send out the invite that David Feiner sends, and I try to do it quickly after I receive it for each meeting, each month. The other item is last time I was asked to take a look at the working groups. This is not specific to secretary's duties, but just for the information, since we asked for it last month, and wherever it fits in our work. I can also email this around, but I was asked about what working groups have been established, because there were comments regarding whether we would need to consolidate any of them in order for efficiency because of the time burden that this work entails. But there aren't so many that I could find, at least in our meeting minutes, as I reviewed them going back to the middle of 2021. There was the first one that I found was the name change discrimination working group. I think Luca was working on that and leading that, and the issues around the difficulty to get one's name changed on important documents such as driver's licenses. The The other ones were the early one was, and the most well-established one really that was mentioned the most throughout the minutes, social media working group. We also have a goal planning committee. I don't know that it was a working group because all commissioners were invited to attend. It wasn't a subset that worked on that, but that was similar to a working group. We had the municipal ordinance working group, the working group on city council relationship, and a working group to address city human services issues. But from the minutes, those are the 6 things that I identified as working groups. They seem to me to be kind of independent and not a very onerous number. So I'm not sure there's much to do with it. But anyway, I'm just reporting what I agreed to report.
Thank you, Billy. Should we discuss the working group?
I think
Not
as we
updating them,
need to. Yeah, I think as we need to. I don't know that we need to talk about them now.
This is somewhere where I'd like to reiterate that we need every commissioner to participate in something to continue moving ahead, because we have the same people on everything and it's a lot. So if any of those resonated with you, please, by all means, get on board. Billy, do you think would the Pirates piece be a working group?
I think it's acting as one, but we didn't formally establish it as such.
Should we do that now? Any thoughts from anyone about that?
Well, before we do thoughts, I'll make a motion and then people
I
could try
always get that
thoughts.
backwards.
Motion to establish the commission and commission relationship with the Pittsburgh Pirates working group.
A second?
Second, we can discuss it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Great,
Was
we have a
that Lenny?
second, okay. Discussion. Okay, I'm gonna jump in real quick. Something I noticed at our last couple of meetings with them is that they're sort of using us as like a community advisory resource. And I think that's appropriate, but we also have to be conscious of making sure that they are connecting with other community groups, other voices, and not just relying on us. So maybe formalizing this is a way to just help accomplish that. Anyone else have thoughts? All right, we have a motion to form this working group. Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Great. Sorry, outreach coordinators report. So this seat has been vacant on the executive committee, and the 4 other executive committee members have been sharing the responsibilities. And we are now going, unfortunately, to lose a second member of our executive committee when Marcus rotates off at the end of this month. So we have to talk about how to get those outreach tasks covered. And I think Marcus was pretty much doing a lot of that in his role as a commissioner, as a co-chair as well. So we're going to have to fill the co-chair role, or attempt to, and the outreach coordinator position. We have some potential new members, new commissioners joining us hopefully soon. So one option is to kick this down the road a little bit until we get some fresh blood in to see if they may be interested in these kinds of roles, or we can. Is there anything outstanding, Marcus, Denise, around this that we need to pick up on?
I don't think so, but Marcus, maybe we can jump on a call together, over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's definitely, yeah, I think we could think of some things that would be helpful, and maybe we can at least have some tasks if people don't necessarily feel they can commit to the position that could help further some of that. So I think that's a good idea, Denise.
Okay,
And Marcus and Denise, can you send us like bullet points of what needs to be done in this committee?
yeah, what I'll do is, Marcus, I'll shoot you an email and give you some times, and if they work for you, and then I'll send out an email with, here's the task that we came up with.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
'Cause I would be interested in working with the group, but I cannot head it. I have just too much on my plate right now.
Okay, that seems like a solid plan. And further down in the agenda, we'll talk about some actual kind of outreach sort of specifics. So we'll move on unless anyone else wants to jump in. I can't see very well if anyone's raising their hand. I can't see. Everyone seems to have turned their camera off. So, all right, now we have our special committees. And first up is the working group on city council relationship. We had our post agenda meeting in February. I know you talked about it last month. I wasn't at our meeting last month here. Where that stands in terms of moving forward is we are in the process of working with Bruce and President Kyle Smith to set up meetings with each member of council. That's probably going to take most of the spring and summer because there are 9 districts. And there was a question of whether we would want to meet again in a post-agenda setting, perhaps in the fall or the early winter, and have a chance to revisit the pieces. What are your thoughts? Does anyone have thoughts about that?
May I?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. I would be happy to facilitate that. Anything I can do to make it happen, happy to do. We recess month of August, come back September. The further we get into the fall, especially October, late October, November, it becomes budget season and things are pretty crazy. So friendly suggestion, like maybe early October, and we could get that. It's just really a matter of my calling a motion to schedule it, and I could work with the president to schedule it even as early as this, if members decide on a time. So I'm happy to, if you'll just let me know, happy to take the lead and have it scheduled for us to plan for. Okay.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Other comments?
I think we should give Bruce the go ahead to do that now. Our interest was to have some regularity in meeting with city council in order that a relationship does develop and that we get to know each other. So, I mean, we had talked about maybe quarterly meetings. I don't know if that's the right number, but we had talked about that at last time, I believe. And so, yeah, I wouldn't want to lose probably the only spot left in 2023 is October is what it sounded like from that. So why not do it?
See, forgive me, I'm kind of trying to get a little bit ahead on a calendar here and see. Just amazing how this stuff happens and how time flies. So the Tuesdays and Wednesdays in October, which generally we can get the best attendance from members if they are, forgive me, council days. We have week of the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. Tuesday, 31st is Halloween. probably not a good time to consider, but forgive me, I just lost the screen. If members wish to consider perhaps 10, 17, or 24 of October, 10, 11, 17, 18, or 24, 25 of October, those could all be good dates. And this early, I mean, I can get it scheduled without interference because it would be that far in advance.
Any preference? I know when we planned our 2 points, when we planned our first post agenda, scheduling at 2 o'clock was a little bit better for most commissioners because of their work schedules. So I know that we had been advised to try for 1, we'd get more participation. I think we got good participation from the council members, so we should perhaps stick with what works. And I also want to just say, I don't think we'll lose momentum because we'll be meeting with council all these months, just individually as we go. We're aiming for 2 a month. So after we have those meetings and we have our post agenda, we can maybe talk about what this would look like going forward based on that feedback.
I apologize to jump in here, but I have to jump to go to my next event. But thanks everyone for the meeting tonight.
Hi, Maria.
Bye, Maria. Okay, so we're looking at the week of the 10th. Is that right? Is that what you said, Bruce?
10, 17, or 24. Those are all Tuesdays, and 11, 18, and 25 are Wednesdays.
Wednesday, the 11th is National Coming Out Day. That might,
Wow.
so yeah, but Lenny, would you be busy at school with that?
No, it'd probably be okay. Anything that we did, we'd be doing earlier.
Okay. Might be, I mean, there might be good timing there, but to schedule it on that day.
The Tuesdays, the meeting is a little less unwieldy. Is that a word, Billy? On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, depending on what bill could be on the agenda, discussion can sometimes push us later. So if you wanted to do Tuesday the 10th, it would be the day before National Coming Out Day, which we could certainly address at the meeting.
That sounds good to me. We have a motion to schedule a post agenda, to request a post agenda meeting with City Council on Tuesday,
October 10th.
October 10th at 2 o'clock.
So
Okay.
moved.
And I'll second.
You're taking my job, Bruce.
You can
Okay.
have it. I got enough.
It's
stuff.
all right, so we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Bruce, are you falling asleep there? Or was that
No,
just
no. I'm just trying to
Okay.
get a crick out of my neck.
Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. Sounds unanimous. We've got that lined up. I know there are some issues that we need to revisit from that meeting. A lot of ideas flowed out of it, and I think we probably need to shape that into some sort of document so that we can continue to stay on top of the different pieces. But we're at 6:30, so I want to move on. Human Services Working Group. We're gonna really need to change that title. We're still trying to meet. Kathy, Shantae, and Chris have all agreed to help with that. It's fallen a little bit behind on to the city council piece, so there's no update beyond trying to meet. All right, let's move on to following up. Unfortunately, Maria has left, but meeting with Mayor Gainey. Was there any topics, issues, items, things we want to revisit? we have the budget piece moving. We have a process in place for that. We have the filming, meeting in person, support of IMP piece moving. We have the update on the appointments that the person who was we asked to be removed because of their lack of attendance, that they've been notified. So they are no longer serving on the commission. And there are 3 active nominations that should be going to city council for approval. I don't want to say their names because they have not yet accepted the nominations, so I don't want to put them on the spot publicly, but they all look like they'll be great additions to the work that we're doing. So that's another issue that came out of that piece. And I think that we have solidified that process now. All of us can actively refer members, potential commissioners, through using the link on the website. Any other issues from that meeting? How about, do we want to schedule another meeting with the mayor? We want to request it now? Not, I mean, put the request in now for at some point later in the year? No, you don't want to meet with the mayor anymore?
I would just say, it's Morgan, y'all. I would just say, I think the mayor would welcome an update from you all, because January feels like a million years ago. Now we're in like post-pandemic times, so time just kind of flies. I think he would welcome the opportunity to just hear about all of these amazing updates, especially with new members as well. It would be good to just reach out to his scheduler to just get that on the calendar.
I'm just going to jump in to agree with Morgan. I believe the mayor would welcome it with open arms. I think it's a good thing. We should do that. And however you wish to do that, you wish to have leadership of the commission reach out, that would work fine. If you want me to speak to Maria, I'm happy to do that. However you want to do it, but I'm on board with, I think the mayor would welcome all of them. Absolutely.
And I think before Pride, so we could also discuss something with him about that would be important.
Do we have any general timeline on the new nominees?
Morgan?
Yeah, so the hope is that they all say yes. And then of course, you know, Bruce, you can speak to this, but generally when it's sent to our contact who sends it to city council, it'll then go to the floor to be considered, which I feel like it's pretty speedy, like within a month or so. Bruce, I don't know if, you know, it ebbs and flows depending on the commission.
Yeah, may I jump in?
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on when the administration sends the nominees over, they would come over on a Friday, be introduced on a Tuesday. They can be accepted with something as simple as a motion to read, receive, and file, and it's completed that Tuesday. If members of the council wish to interview, we could actually hold for interview. They tend to move rather quickly. After an interview, it would come up on the following Tuesday, and it would simply be a motion to approve them under unfinished business. So as long as the commission is happy with the names being sent over, I am happy once we receive them and introduce them that Tuesday, just a motion to read, receive, and file, and they would be commissioners. Actually, I think the motion is to approve. Let me walk that back. I believe it would come under Council President Smith's committee, and I would motion to approve, and they would become commissioners. So however you wish to proceed.
I don't feel personally a need to interview them, and maybe it's because I know them. That's a little bit different, but my only concern would be to make sure they really understand the commitment, because, you know, that we need them to be available in this period of time and come consistently and that should be a factor in their decision.
One of the reasons members like to interview is really for the public's knowledge as much as it is for council's knowledge. Having a public format, it's an opportunity to introduce to public at large how and why these seats are being filled, who they are, and to sort of give the constituency an opportunity to see. So I'm happy to proceed whatever way the commission wishes to proceed. And but again, we really can't take that under consideration until they actually are introduced legislatively to council.
I don't think any other commissioner has been interviewed by city council. We were all just approved.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean,
prob-
we all came on as a group, so that'd have been a lot of interviews, but.
Yeah. But you know, it's members' prerogative. If they wish to interview, they may ask. But my recommendation would be that you know, being a member of the commission and members wishing to see them approved, I would motion to approve, and members would agree. It would be okay.
Morgan, can you speak to, have the three of them has it been really been made clear what the expectation is in terms of meetings, time, commitment? Not just, it's not a token role, it's a working commission.
Usually when notification letters are sent, there's a whole description about the commission, the meaning behind it, the expectations, which is why we really try to make sure they get that information and they're notified about it first.
Right.
And then we submit it to council. So, you know, they're agreeing to that commitment.
Okay, any other questions on this? I think sounds like we're making some progress. I'm gonna take a facilitator's prerogative or co-chair prerogative right here to ask Billy, maybe it's a point of order, maybe it is just an appropriate place to discuss it, but we are going to need an election potentially to fill the co-chair, the third co-chair spot. And of course, we still have the vacant, as we said, outreach coordinator role. So do we want to announce that tonight and hold those elections in May? Do we want to wait for these new people to join us to have those elections? What is the preference?
Well, my personal preference would be that we hold off on that so that that the new commissioners could be seated, that they since at that point they would be voting members, they might want to say hello before they vote or run. So I think it would be, if it didn't happen for a couple months, it wouldn't, I think we would survive. And I think it would be more helpful to them and our commission as a whole to be considerate of that.
Any other thoughts?
I would like to wait also until the new commissioners are on board.
Well, in light of that,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I was just gonna say, I agree with that as well.
Well, in light of that, what I would again reiterate is that those of you who are not actively serving on a working group or leading a team or anything, we really need you to step up to help fill this gap. Because that'll put us down from 5 people on the leadership team to 3. So no, 4.
Yeah, and I would add too, if any commissioner wants to attend the executive committee meeting, you're invited. You get a little taste of that. It's no commitment. You don't become a co-chair just because you volunteer to come to our meeting. But but if you're interested in that, that might help you if you haven't participated in that. That might help you get a sense of a little bit of the work.
All right, now since it is in our bylaws that we do need to fill these roles, Billy, do we need a motion to postpone the election?
I would have to check the bylaws. I don't have them. It would take me
Okay.
a few minutes to read that to know whether we're obligated to do this now. My sense is, my memory from helping writing them is that we're not pressed to do it, that we just have to, there's a certain time period to announce. When we announce, we can't do the election that same meeting.
Well, and Marcus is with us to the end of the month, so I think we can realistically announce in May, and that would be considered fair.
I agree.
Yeah, this is Guillermo. I was driving, so I couldn't really keep pushing the microphone, and I didn't want the sound to disturb the meeting. But I have a few comments, if I may. The first one with respect to the roles and the participation. And I think this is an issue that we discussed even last year, where we knew that this, in order to do the work that we wanted to do, we needed to have support. And this is when we talk about the staff person, you know, what was going to be the work that the staff person was going to be able to help. Because we know that everybody gets very busy. I think it's important that we have the opinion of everybody in the direction of how everything is moving. But we also recognize that, you know, everybody is going to be able to put all hours of work. That doesn't mean that they don't want to. It's just that, you know, it's going to be out there. I'm not saying that we should not, but I'm saying we need to have that, because this is that we already talked before. My second question is, because we talked about this before and we knew that we wanted to have some support from staff, I want to be able to understand more, what is the staff support doing to the things that where we needed to have this kind of, you know, tasks that require more like a human support, such as community outreach and things where not necessarily everyone is going to be able to do that. I provided some ideas last year where community meetings are already happening throughout the city in different kind of districts, and to take advantage of that, you know, perhaps we can have the personnel that is already working at the city or the staff to be able to do some outreach that way, because that will be more effective, rather than start creating our own campaigning, where it will take a lot of effort and a lot of hours from many of us to be involved on that. So I'd like to be able to understand more, how many hours are, can we count of the support, and how can we perhaps now, as we move into a different level in the commission, how can we adjust the support for the commission? And the third thing that I just wanted to comment is, of course, I would like to be able to be involved. I think I will be more effective to be involved in community things. I am in the commission, because of who I am, but also because I want to do something for the community that I represent. So whenever we decide what we specifically are going to do in terms of community outreach, I would like to be able for you to see me as somebody who can reach out to the Latino community, whether it's post events, whether it's to gather information, or whether it's to however it is that we want to do. But I think that's going to have to be clear. What is it that we want to do with communities? And we may want to do 5 things or 10 things, but we effectively will only be able to do 1 or 2 or 3 in the very beginning, in my opinion. So I think, whenever we do that, we can have more clarification so that we can all feel that we can move forward.
Thank you, Guillermo. I want to just address a couple factual pieces there. Morgan is leaving the city and is moving into a new position outside of the city. So we will not have a staff person for the foreseeable future. And we are waiting to hear on what the plan is to restaff that role. So the answer to your question is we're back to where we were. And We will
That-
continue to work with Maria, but we're not, we can't really set any expectations until that
Yeah,
position is filled.
and be honest with you, to the group, if until we don't have that kind of support, we shouldn't be thinking that we can do all these things where we know that the people don't have the time or don't have, that many, many of us have titles that just demand our our day and our times. But so I think, that's something we need to consider. What can we effectively do? We shouldn't be putting out plans that we can execute.
And
And-
in response to that, I just want, again, we're mindful of time, Guillermo, one thing we wanted to talk about was not doing any outreach until we're back to maximum capacity, because we don't have any infrastructure to do that. We don't have a process, we don't have staff person, we don't have a budget, we don't have any of that, and we're working on all those pieces.
Mhm.
So we had talked about is that what
And
we
yes,
had,
and I agree with that. And perhaps the best thing that the executive group can do is segment what we can do now based on the resources that we have, and group the things that we would like to do if we have this kind of support, and another group if we have participation from the different commissioners, as we may ask them what kind of hours, what kind of support you'll be able to commit. Because also if we're gonna have new commissioners and we don't know who they are and we don't know what kind of titles they have, we don't know what kind of busy life they have. So what are they bringing to the commission? And if we want is labor, then we should be looking for the commissioners that can do work, and because we can't be asking people to do things when we know that they won't be able to do it, since this is what we know what we're facing, and it's just a challenge for us, and it's okay. It's okay to do that, but I think we just need to be careful not to get into that ourselves, and then be a month or two into a situation where we're just in the same.
well,
And
I think the executive committee has actually been doing that, and we've been really working on the pieces we can do. They're just not the sexy things, we're working on budgets and meetings and
Yeah.
that we're not, we talked last month, and I think maybe we can move ahead if you don't mind, since this ties in with the next issue, is talking about pride. Is one thing the executive committee discussed is that we just don't have the capacity to table at any pride events at all, and that what we can do is ask commissioners who aren't planning to attend or have tables to take our information and do it in an individual, maybe ask for a moment at the microphone if that's possible, but that what was realistic for us is to focus on an interpersonal participation in these pride events, not a commission, especially now. And for example, Sarah had said that Hugh Lane could put the pamphlets out on their table. They'll be at most of the events. Is that still true, Sarah? Are you still here? Are you here, Sarah? She may or may not. I know she said she's having power outages. And so we did talk about this, and we're real aware of the fact that we want to get out in the community, but we're just not there yet. And I think the public comments is a step forward, and filling the commission seats is a step forward, but the pride events, we need our brochure updated. We need to get it printed. So, and then have it available by late May. Is anybody willing to work on that? Sorry, my cats are.
Well,
Sue, I can do that.
I'll send you the documents. Jam is interested in that too. He volunteered, but I'll send an email to Jam and Denise with all the content that was in the original, so that they have that available to do what they like.
And
If
Denise, I would be interested in helping you with that also.
Thank you.
Once you was, I'm sorry. Once you assemble new information, I'm happy to have it printed. I can cover that cost out of my office.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That's a big help.
Sue, can I just interject really quickly? I have a pressing phone call I need to take, but on this note really quick, yeah, I am leaving and moving on from the city. Tomorrow is actually my last day. I do want to extend just immense gratitude for each of you because I know this work is incredibly thankless and I know it's not even just professional, it's personal to each of you. So I'm glad that I was able to just be a part of it for a little period of time. And I just encourage you to keep strategically planning and thinking about, the story that you want this commission to be conveyed, because you got to know where you're going to bring people along. So I still encourage you to make those videos and send them along to Maria in the meantime, because I just want to see this commission succeed as much as possible and people buying into this. So I'll still be in Pittsburgh. Don't be a stranger. I'll also be traveling all of next week because I have an art exhibition happening in Washington, D.C. that I'm very excited about. So I'll be at the event in spirit. But again, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Morgan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
Good luck, Morgan.
Thank you.
So with regard to the Pride events, did I send you the calendar, Denise?
Yes, so
together?
I'm putting those, I'm getting those events and I'm putting them into a graphic so that I could start posting them on a regular basis. So I should have that. If not tomorrow, definitely by Monday.
So someone working with me in another capacity compiled at least 30 different Pride events, and we can circulate that as a spreadsheet and everyone can let us know, are you going to be there? Whether you're going to be there tabling or in some sort of formal capacity, or you're just planning to attend. But if you have the brochures, look for opportunities to, spread the word. A lot of these events, if we ask them for a moment or two at the microphone, they'll give it to us. And you can, any commissioner can speak about who we are and what we do and pass out the brochures. And then we can, just really be present in a very, interpersonal, or I guess not interpersonal, personal level.
If you don't have those brochures in Spanish and Portuguese, I'll be happy to translate them. And I can see if I can get some copies. I don't think we need too many, but I think I can get enough to pass them.
That's a great idea. Can you work with Denise on that? Guillermo?
Yeah, and if you can just send me the files, that would be good.
Okay.
Do we have anyone else with capacity to translate the brochure into any other languages that we should distribute? We can ask for community volunteers. That's a great project.
That's when you start getting your community involved.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was
think,
thinking.
So
So
I think so we're involved with the community meeting, and that's not happening yet.
well, at Brashear, they have a pretty strong language arts program, and Devin Brown is involved there. Maybe we could ask him, maybe the students, I don't know if that's a project they may be interested in or not. He also does the GSA piece, but if we want to get it into other languages, we, take the initiative and ask around, see if someone's interested. We have to have a way to vet it, obviously, to make sure.
You have to be careful with that because you don't have just anyone translating. I mean, we do a lot of translation all the time for information. So I feel confident that whatever we translate, we will be okay. But I don't know about just having anyone translating and putting a document that is semi-official or something like that.
Right, it would have to be edited or reviewed or by someone else, peer review kind of thing. Because yes, there's your accountability as a commissioner is a little bit different than just someone in the community, I think.
Right.
to take that on. So I know that it's disappointing about the tabling and outreach and all that, but does everyone understand why we are making that decision? And please, if something comes up that you think we should be involved in some way, feel free to bring it to our attention. We also have to discuss how we show up in terms of, because there's not just one pride anymore. And we have to think about precedent as well as, and that's a whole series of conversations that we're not going to get into tonight. Any other comments?
I would just say really quickly, in terms of other languages, I think that would be a good goal for next year. We're only a month away. We have to keep this as simple as possible. I agree with the Spanish translation. I think that would be great, but just the 2 languages for now, let's concentrate on that.
Yeah.
And that would be a goal for our commission going forward. And then just really quickly, I will be marching with my historic pride flag this year. And that would be with just one march. Obviously, I can't be in every location at the same time.
It's actually pretty nice this year. A lot of the events are spread out throughout the month, and there's a lot of smaller communities organizing events. They're not in our city, but there's a couple in Westmoreland County, areas where it's important to show up and lend support to the people, because it's really brave in some of these areas to do this. So
yeah, there's some locations have 200 people that are organizing. I mean, it would be a march of 200 people, which is pretty much like our history. Billy would know when it started, there was about less than 200 people at the very first march, correct?
Richard, one quick question. Do you mind sending me a link or some kind of contact I think I would like to have a Hispanic group march. Maybe as the Hispanic Corporation or just as a Hispanic group.
Yes, I could send you the person who is organizing the bigger parade if you are interested.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
I need to interject just to let you know, you're going to lose your note taker and secretary soon.
Yeah, we're right at the end. So very quickly, I'm just going to plow through this. The executive committee made a recommendation that we seek a meeting with the chancellor at Pitt to talk directly about recent events. Do we need a vote on that, Billy?
I think it's fine. Make a motion. I move that the co-chairs request a meeting with the University of Pittsburgh chancellor.
I'll second.
All right, let's vote quickly.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I promise you the agenda will be discussed by email, before we get the meeting. So voter registration, primary election, the election's coming up. Please do your part to turn out the vote first to get the important offices held. Please pay special attention to school boards. And any last announcements that won't be in the minutes or notes, but are here. Marcus, thank you for your service. Marcus also was on the LGBTQ advisory group to the mayor and, rolled into this commission and has, really stepped up for quite a significant period of time. So thank you and best of luck on your next adventure. Hope to see you at a meeting in the future. Maybe you could make a comment.
I was going to say, maybe I'll submit public comment.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure. Thank you all. It's been a great opportunity to work with you all. So I'm looking forward to following everything that we keep doing.
And we're going to miss your regular breaks to walk the dog. So
I'll just periodically maybe walk by everybody just to make an appearance.
Thank you, Marcus.
Any other announcements?
Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah, I have one, just
You're supposed to be
a
gone.
little bit more, but next, I think it's Tuesday, the 25th, April 25th is the 30th anniversary of the 1993 March on Washington for Lesbian, Gay, and Bi Equal Rights and Liberation, which had a extensive platform that included significant language around transgender rights, as well as a woman's right to choose, anti-racism, a whole slew of things. I did a thorough analysis of the status of the March demands from 1993. As soon as the other co-chairs from that March, Nadine, Scout, and Derek, the four of us were the co-chairs of that March, I'll release it to you all first. As soon as they got to finish okaying it. I don't know why they're delaying, but anyway, they got a few more days. But it's
Derek.
very interesting, and we did intersectionality before it was a word, and I think you'll be very interested in what the status of things are 30 years later. It's not good. It's not good. There's some good things, but overall not good.
Was that Derek Washington?
That was Derek Charles Livingston,
Okay, I don't know.
not Derek Washington.
I know three of you then. My announcement, just real quick, is I'd like to remind everyone that we still have Protect Trans Kids signs. We're working really hard to get them out, especially in areas where they're not represented. This is me wearing a different hat, not co-chair. So if you would like a sign, if you need a replacement, if you need new stakes, stickers, pens, let me know and I'll get it to you. I think it's really important that we have a big push now of increased support, very visible public support so I hope you all have them up in your yards and stores. I know Richard, did Billy Porter ever get his sign yet?
He has not had time to get around town, so
We'll have to
make sure he gets one.
that'd be great.
Yeah, he'll be here at the end of May.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. So, all right. Any other comments, feedback? Everybody has their hand like this. The whole commission is propping up their faces. So thank you everyone for coming. We are only 4 minutes over. I'm very proud of us. And we had a tough agenda, but we got through it. We have a lot of work ahead of us. Please, read your email, reply, and let us know what else we should be doing. Looking forward to getting into Pride Month and seeing what happens. I'm really bad at sign off. So good night, everybody. We're going to wrap up this meeting.
Thanks,
Motion to
everybody.
adjourn. Do we
Thank
need a
you.
motion to adjourn?
Actually, yes. And
Yes.
second, yes.
It's you guys are always doing it. All right.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vote
Aye.
aye.
Hi.
Night,
Who wants to
everybody.
stay around and no?
Night, everybody.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone.
Good night.